It is the SMT Media Network. Folks, we're going to be talking about Dillon Brooks today. I know, you probably never thought I would make a video on this guy, but I think it's time we have this conversation. A lot of people are calling this guy like the new Draymond Green. I kind of get it. I understand the position that people are taking. There's some similarities in their behavior, but in terms of their style of play, they're actually really, really different. So making a comparison between Draymond Green and Dillon Brooks, I think is actually not accurate. I don't really think there's all that similar. Now, just based on a couple of things, I guess what we could say they are similar in their size. You know, Dillon Brooks, I think, is like 6'6". I think Draymond's about that as well, 6'6", 6'7". So similar in that respect. I think Dillon Brooks might be more athletic, generally speaking. Not that Draymond Green isn't athletic. I think sometimes Draymond is actually underrated athletically. I just think the ability of Dillon Brooks to have like some pretty impressive burst kind of like catches people off guard sometimes. Maybe they're similar in athleticism. But what Dillon Brooks is actually able to do defensively is actually different than what Draymond can do defensively. So what a lot of people don't know is Draymond Green has a 7'1" wingspan, even though he's only 6'6". This allows him to actually play the modern day version of a center position, at least defensively. He finds himself onto the other team's, 4 or 5 player, right? They're bigs. You're not really going to see Dillon Brooks guarding bigs. You're going to see Dillon Brooks guarding the other team's wing players that are considered to be their, one of their better scorers, right? So you'll see him on a shooting guard. You'll see him on a small forward. That's very typically what he does. He's not really known as like a big defender. Like he's not really guarding the other team's power forward or center, 4 or 5, whatever. That's why I think a lot of times the comparison between him and Draymond, it's not really their game. Like, I think they're both really good defenders. I mean, hell, Draymond Green has a Defensive Player of the Year, and you got people saying he's the front runner this year. I don't know if Dillon Brooks is ever going to win a DPOY, but he's a very willing and capable defender against guys like Kevin Durant. Hell, you saw him get ejected out of the most recent game because, he's mixing it up with some players. And that's really where I think it is. If we're going to make a comparison between Dillon Brooks and Draymond Green, I think they're temperament. I don't know, man. Do you guys think that maybe Dillon Brooks kind of has a more sporadic temperament? I mean, Draymond's like kind of sort of sometimes controls it, and then sometimes he just like the fuse just goes off and then he just does something stupid. Dillon Brooks has some really unusual energy. It's really strange. Like the game's going fantastic, everything's fine, and then he'll just create a problem and it escalates quickly and he gets ejected. And now he's got a reputation, so the referees are already on edge. They're watching him the whole game. Refs watch Dillon Brooks very closely, and they're like looking for nefarious activity. So he needs to be kind of cognizant and aware of that he's a target now. And the same thing with Draymond Green. He could do something small, and then refs kind of target him. That's kind of where I think their similarities are, and that's kind of where I think they stop. I think Dillon Brooks is a better offensive player in terms of getting his own points. His three-point shooting has really improved this year. He's got games, where he's had some pretty nice breakouts. I mean, even just recently, you got games where he's shooting like 5 of 9 from 3. I remember one game, I think he had like 8 or 9 threes. So that's kind of new to his game. He made 5 of 11 last week against the Sixers. So we're seeing kind of some of those volume numbers, 5 of 8 against the Nuggets. So that's like a new wrinkle to his game. You'll see games where he's got a block and a steal, a couple steals, where he's very active. There's some games where he's just really, really good. A 25-point game against the Sixers, I mentioned. So yeah, he's had some really good games this year. And then for Dre, those big games, the blowout games, don't really happen that often because the offense is predicated on him being a distributor, right? So he's looking to pass the ball and find players and step off of action and those kind of things. So like, you're not really going to see many Draymond Green, blow-ups. I mean, hell, there was one game where I think he took 14 three-pointers. The hell happened there, right? He made 5. That's like a great game for Draymond Green to score 21 points that game against the Raptors. So I don't know. I don't really see the similarity in their game outside of the fact that we know them as defenders, right? And then I think more temperament, demeanor, kind of reckless behavior at times. Maybe Draymond has a little bit more self-control, maybe. And Draymond's kind of, I don't know. I think that's what it is. I just think it's the weirdness to them. you know, that kind of Dennis Rodman stir in the pot kind of energy. That's what the two of them have. But they both play the game hard. You got to respect that, right? They both play the game with extreme passion, and they're extreme competitors, and they want to win, and they want to win their matchups, and they want to be great and all those things. But I think as a more complete player, maybe in some ways Dillon Brooks is a more complete player, maybe. But Draymond's, you know, he's a pretty nice passer, right? He delivers the rock to kind of help facilitate their offense. He pushes the pace up the floor. I don't know. In some ways, he could be dynamic too, I suppose. Defensively, he's very good, right? What he does for the Warriors, Dillon Brooks could not do for the Warriors. And I think what, you know, Dillon Brooks does for the Rockets, I don't think Draymond can do for them the same way, you know? So I think they're actually quite different. Anyways, what do you think are the similarities and the differences between these two? Did I miss something? Did I forget something? I don't know. Maybe you guys have noticed something about these two. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the statement that they should be, you know, considered to be like similar players. I kind of disagree, but what do you think? Let me know. Drop me a comment. Like, share, subscribe. Check out some more of our videos. We'll see you guys on the next one.